Let's start review. Hello, I am Mige. I'm going to do a little review of what I think of Star Control Origins. Uh, this is by Stardock, and for most part, it's trying to be reminiscent of the old one. There are some things it does really well, some things it doesn't do so well. Let's start off with some of the positives. I really like the races I've encountered so far. I've encountered the tie worm, which are pretty much like your old geeky friend trope. The Mookie are pretty much like the Bakunk, so they look like the oars. It's like, I've encountered these four races, and it's like, yes, they all have their own special charm. They're all nice. However, they don't seem to have the level of depth that the Star Control 2 races had, which is a bit unfortunate. Exploring is really nice in this game. There's a lot of benefit to exploring, finding stuff. Not only do you get ships. Do I have key status? Yeah. These three are all ships I picked up. You can find random ships on the exploring. You can get stuff that'll give you like loot. You can get a whole bunch of other stuff you can find randomly from exploring. That's fairly fun. However, I will say most of these ships you can pick up off of planets absolutely suck. But, also, in the very beginning of the game, you have, like, no customization. So you see, like, a really bad planet, you can't do anything. Because unlike Star Control 2, where it was pretty much a crapshoot of, like, okay, you had tectonics, which was, okay, how often earthquakes are going. You had weather, which was how often you get a lightning strike. And volcanic heat, which was like how often you'd get a little volcano thing going on that you'd have to avoid. So you'd have this whole attrition thing of, okay, how likely am I to die, lose my ship, if I go here? How much do I think it is worth it? And you sort of had to balance that out. And this one, it's like, no, it's pretty much all or nothing. If you have wind, which is how hard is it for you to land, which is skill-based, sort of. But once you're down, the wind thing is not an option anymore. You have heat, which is how quickly will your ship fry, which is a timer. Not so much a chance, it's a timer. Unless you get the heat resistance stuff to get past that, in which case it's nothing. Or you have toxicity, which is radiation, which will kill your crew off, which is, again, a timer, unless you have the thing for it, in which case it's nothing. So it's pretty much all or nothing. You do have lightning strikes on there, and there are other stuff, but it's like, yeah. And like hot planets will sometimes still have the volcanoes, but it's like, for one thing, I will definitely say when you start off the game, why are you coming after me? Oh, you're just booping. You definitely want to do this Sarah's training base. This is the tutorial area. And when you do the tutorial area, you want to do the tutorial even if you know what you're doing, because once you've finished the tutorial, it'll give you a better primary weapon and the point defense. And the first encounter you have is very, very tough. In the grand scheme of things, it's pretty easy. But it is basically giving you the weakest of these ships from your main beginning big bad, the Scribe. But pretty much it's a ship that's like, okay, Chimera laser on steroids, and you will think that until you see their other versions of that ship. Which is also another nice thing, is the fact that each race will have like 2 or 3 different ships per size category, and then you have small, you have medium ships, and you have large ships. And so you each race will have potentially 6 to 9 different ships you might have to be dealing with, as opposed to Star Control 2, which is only one. Another nice thing about the exploration is these star maps change. Like, they didn't have this area down here. They're moving. Muke didn't have all of this area. So you can actually change how the map looks, which is actually really, really neat. Combat is... I would probably end up showing combat in a bit, but I'm trying to do it so I'm not stuttering on trying to figure out, talk and play. It is still very reminiscent. One main difference is instead of you wrap around all the edges of the map, you have a big giant circle that you're fighting in. And if you take too long, the giant circle will start to shrink and force you more and more down into the center. On top of that, there are nice little buffs. So you can get like increased movement speed or acceleration or battery regen or max population, max crew size, which seems weird of a buff. Other than maybe being able to, if you get a couple of them, recover one crew. It's just very weird. I don't really have the fuel to get over to them, do I? I'll have to work on that. Pretty sure there'll be a starbase. One other thing is, instead of the Airlu quasi-space portals, you have all these little things around here that you can just find around the station. Yeah, there's one. Just find traveling the galaxy, and these are where you find your upgrades. This is the one where you can start getting the upgrades to your lander. And one of the nice things about once you start to being able to upgrade is you have a lot of choices. Like, well, you're obviously going to want a gun, but you can do okay carry capacity. And right now I'm doing, one of my quests is to get francium, which is radioactive, which means I have to go to radioactive planets. So I actually have 4 of these 20% toxics and then 2 heats. So you can sort of play around with that. And then later in the game, I'm sure you can get higher quality ones, so you can fit more stuff. Similar with your crew, you can see I have this big giant smorgasbord of various stuff on here. You have like a few different slots. You have, I can probably show that one quickly, easily enough, since that's just right down here. I missed.
Welcome back, Captain.
Okay. So all of these in the center are green, which is you can pull from these types of modules. You can stack them up if you want. Actually, yeah, I bet. You have yellow, which has its own set of things. You have you only have 2 weapons, which is sort of unfortunate compared to 2, where you could basically have 1 in the very front, 2 in the side, 2 are like an angle, and then 2 that were to the side, and then 1 shooting behind you. Yeah, you have a whole bunch of different colors you can do stuff with. And naturally, as you progress, you can get some of these from planets. Like, I think, yeah, this subspace drive I found from a planet. This KVAX accelerator I found from a planet. So you find random stuff that are useful on the planets. And if you find one, you can just equip it for free. Or you have to go to the station to equip it, but you can still equip it for free. Let me top off.
Anything else, Captain? Good luck, Captain.
Yep. Okay. Now, unfortunately, one disadvantage about the ships is that, well, Star Control is pretty much true in Star Control 2 and Star Control 3, the other Star Controls, but not all ships are created equal. Like, you can see all the ships I have. This one's not bad, but for the most part, I'm only going to be using this guy and these guys. This one is sort of like the Mooncake Graspers. I have two because, well, one I wanted to get more crew, and the other one is a quest to basically let them tag along for a while. So it's like, yeah, okay. But they do massive damage if they can get up close. It's just they have no way to protect themselves or ability to really get up close that easily. They have like an ink blob, which I'm guessing is supposed to be they hide in, but it's the enemy is paying attention. You know where they are. A lot of the other ships, it's like, okay, you have very low acceleration. See, this one's pretty, yeah, very low acceleration, very low turn rate, and you're not going to really hurt much. Well, that's me. So you're slow. You have ships that are like they're slow. They only pick medium damage compared to like some of the other ships you go. Or you could just get these ones where it's like, okay, really high acceleration, really high speed. The tie worm is, I almost never use their main weapon because it's a short range thing, whereas their secondary is you create a sentry. And a really interesting, they're really, really good against any ship that needs to get up close. They hard counter any ship that needs to get up close. Um, and a really interesting trick I found you can do to do tons of damage, because the ships will try and avoid them, but if you lure them near a planet and just drop a whole bunch of these next to the planet, it'll bounce off the planet and run into them and do like tons of damage. Um, the other one I mainly get a lot to is the Lexite Interceptor, which is a ship you can get by finding some neutronium. You actually get it in this system. It's on a planet, but it's pretty much like the EHOT, but with the laser being much, much longer range. This is really good against ships that want to be long ranged, because you get pretty good acceleration, pretty good everything. Is just crap crew, and it has a shield. So if you can just shield any attack you get, these guys stay along for a while. Okay. I can think anything more, I will say so. I guess that's no longer true. But it'll actually show which planets you've been to on your trek, but it'll actually gray them out. Okay, let's go to